before they mentioned that they had a secondary school, I was like, very sure these guys don't have a secondary. Like, it doesn't. Like, I was like, this is a time where maybe I can stand and be like, the government, please. We need schools in Kiryandongo.
Yeah.
This. But in the due course of this month, we were in for an, should I call it an adventure? It was on my side. Not me on your side, guys.
It was an adventure.
It is my first documentary ever in life.
It was my first too.
So it's really a big deal for me that it's out there and actually people are watching it.
Yeah.
But what was your take, Maki, when they told you you're going to be on this documentary and it's in regards to teenage pregnancy?
First of all, I was shocked. I was like, okay, this is the first one I'm doing. I had to do research. How do they take the documentary shots? What do I had to be sure. Do I need to take the people's faces? What? Such stuff.
Yeah.
I made a lot of research throughout the night before the departure. And I was eager to jump into it. I was ready. I had to delete a lot of stuff from my phone to create a lot of space so that I go on an adventure and I get a lot of footage.
Did I tell you at that time that Canary was coming on board?
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'll be cool.
On my side, I was like, Lynn was like, she texted Lisa, we're going for this. Like, it was like a day 2, and I'm like, where? Kiryandongo, okay, for what? A documentary. And I'm like, here's Canary's now. I'm like, guys, first wait. For what? Canary. I'm like, the canary, It's like, yeah, the canary, Do you remember when I called you? What I asked? Hello, where are you? His question was, who are you? You want to kidnap me? I died. I was like, oh my God, this is a bad introduction. And I was like, this is Elizabeth from Reach Our Hand. What? Then he's like, oh, okay. It was. Yeah.
No, for me, it was an adventure. I'd been to Kiryandongo, but I'd not been to Kiryandongo to go like deep in the communities. So having to talk to people, different ages, just interact with them, see how warm they are, was for me the greatest adventure.
I feel like for you, it's like a daily thing.
I do documentaries all the time throughout the whole year. That's my daily job, apart from radio show hosting and anchoring. So, but you don't know what to expect sometimes. Yeah. You don't know what to expect from a community. People are different. I've been to communities that are hostile.
Yeah.
And then there was all these guys like, is there anything else that you need that you think we can help with? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to talk to the other person? Like everyone was available. It was a great adventure.
And still, now, when we reached Kiryandongo, what was your take on the whole concept? Because we all received the concept notes. And I saw teenage pregnancy. Leave this fact that we be here writing about these things, writing letters, writing newsletters and all.
Yeah.
But actually now you're on ground and you're actually seeing young girls, mothers.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm a 22-year-old and I'm actually in university and someone is 22 years old and they are mothers of 2 kids. And their husbands are there are so people who are supposed to be husbands or their caretakers are nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, for me, of course, that was not shocking because I have done many documentaries around teenage pregnancies. I've seen young mothers who are 24 and they are grandparents.
Hey.
At 24, 25, 26. They are grandparents. Means they gave birth maybe when they're 12.
What?
And their children also gave birth when they're around the same age.
Yeah.
So you have like 4 generations in one community. And the eldest is below 30. So for me, it wasn't really shocking. But I must say this for the very first time. I don't think that I told you. But for me, the actual story came at the last interview. Like we went through the whole
different interviews.
Yeah, different interviews. But for me, the actual story came at the last interview that we did with the LC5 chairperson, district chairperson.
Oh, the lady.
Yes, when she connected low food production, climate change, especially when she talked about how drought had hit Kiryandongo and it was one of the worst areas hit. Talked about low food production and then hike in prices. I was like, so this is it. In fact, I just closed my notebook. I let her talk. I said, this is it. I had gotten for me what I wanted. I had connected everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and it made sense, like, after the whole thing when you were talking about it, like, traveling back and you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't see through that. I won't lie. Like, would you, Mikey?
Like, me, personally, like, according to the conversations that we're going through, they were like, okay, for us here, when you grow to this age, they be like, you're old enough now to become a mother. And some of them be like, the girls be like, okay, I now want to feel mature enough.
Yeah.
And at this age, the only thing to make me feel mature is getting pregnant. And the parents are also okay with it because
Yeah.
they don't have enough. I didn't know that they didn't have enough by then. So I was asking myself,
What is the push factor?
What's pushing these parents to be like, we are okay with that? Is it that they didn't study? The schools are somehow there. But what's pushing these parents? So when it came to the climate bit, I was like, oh, so this is it. They be like, if this girl gets married,
Yeah.
we are good.
Yeah.
She's
We're going to
gone. She's
survive.
out of our family. We won't feed her anymore.
Before I personally, before we went there, it's the conversation with the girls. It was more of peer pressure. You know, like how it's you're 14, girl, you're grown up, you're supposed to be like, that's the whole system, and you're done with P7, like that's the goal. Like how we be here achieving that, you need to go to uni and make it. P7 is like a golden buzz for you and everything.
Like when you hit it, you're
like you're good to go. Like by the time when you get married and you know you're like having that P7 certificate. That's what I thought, and as in shock till that came at the end of it when we met the culture, the leaders and all. It kind of made sense.
Yeah, and you know, when we were trying to qualify it,
Yeah,
say, let's look for a garden.
heat.
Yeah. And we just moved like 1 minute
yeah,
from
it
where we were
was
doing the
just
interview to
it was
there.
just near it.
Yeah.
I was even scared.
So we went to the garden and we were
Moving on.
filming.
I'm like, guys,
We were
this is how
filming.
it just come for us.
Yeah.
I
We were
don't- I
filming
don't
and
even have a
everything was
national
dry.
ID.
So it just for me again clicked again, say, okay, so this is it. We don't need to move far away from where we are to prove that actually their gardens are dry. Yeah.
Was there a particular moment that stood out for you, like you as Canary or Maki, and like that changed your whole idea? Like, okay, we went with this, but okay, this is like the real deal.
Two things. One, there's only one secondary school in the whole sub-county. One. Which means that if a girl is unable to walk that long distance to find, it means they will give up on education. That only exacerbates the situation. And then two, in that particular sub-county, Apodora, there's a health center too. A health center too, when you look at the guidelines of the Ministry of Health, health center is not supposed to be dealing with maternity.
Yeah.
So, but they are out of options. It's the only thing that they have. So the midwife there is forced to help these girls deliver. And for me, when I looked through the data, everything made sense. You know, there's talking about a story, but you can't qualify it. There is no...
And evidence.
I didn't do sciences, but throughout my career as an investigative journalist, if you can't find evidence to qualify a statement, then you'd rather not go with it. So you look through the book for records, you're like, in May, out of 35 births total, you have 6. In June, like that, and then the trend goes on and on. I was like, so this is it. For me, that stood out for me. There's this community, it's like it's not given attention.
Yeah.
And despite having leaders right from the local sub-county to the district.
Interesting. Maki?
Me, what stood out for me was the first site we went to, that like the church stuff. Like, I was so shocked when church was done. They were doing some sort of rehearsals. I'm a music lover, so I had to go there and see. You know, music was pulling me, but the people that were like, they're older, they looked younger to me, and they had kids on their back, while teaching the rest how to sing, how to dance.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, so this is real. Because at first I thought we were just going to see a few victims that we were going to interview. But then I see these other ones that we were not going to interview, and they really looked younger. I was like, okay, so things are really side.
What stood out for you?
Just speaking of the church bit, like what stood out for me, personally, it's the distance from where we're shooting to the health center. I slept and woke up and slept and woke up. Like, what was that? And I imagined a person
Walking, yeah.
Pregnant, going to give birth.
Pregnant,
or even
going to
just
give
going
birth.
to go for antenatal.
Antenatal.
It was so far.
It's impossible. The distance was so bad, yet we're in a car. So it just made sense that when the health worker mentioned that few of them who are around the health center make it to the health center and get the antenatal and deliver. So what was running in my mind is like how many people are like from the distance we're coming from, are teenage girls, and they cannot come to that because it's so far.
It's very far. I also slept during the time. I slept because the distance was so far. We weren't arriving. I slept off.
I was trying to record that journey. It was a time lapse. But then I was like, okay, let me stop.
It's too long.
Let's just relax. And the second bit was Lillian's story of all the people that we interviewed and were able to have conversation with. That she made it to senior too. Before they mentioned that they had a secondary school, I was like very sure these guys don't have a secondary. Like doesn't like I was like, this is a time where maybe I can stand and be like, the government, please, we need schools in Kiryandongo.
Yeah.
But the fact that she made it, and because of the whole thing that they discovered that she was pregnant, and school doesn't allow you totally. I thought this ends this side, like in Kampala. I won't lie. I thought the rural side has this side of, okay, this happens, let's keep them in school. Oh no, rules apply everywhere. And it was a highlight for me because I was like, maybe she would have stayed in school and should have been able to complete maybe, but no. So for me, that was really...
And she performed quite well, actually.
Yeah.
She had 13.
Performed quite well. I think that's why the issue of climate change does come in. Because if you have no food at home, you have no food at school, you become prey to that one that has 30K.
Yeah.
You become prey to that, and that only actually shows you we're only able to speak to maybe 1, 2, 3 girls.
Yeah.
But there's a whole lot more out. We didn't go to any other sub-county.
Yeah, we did.
We just did one sampling. Could show you how big of a problem that is.
Saying this, every sorry for you as an expert, I don't know, but everything has a challenge.
Yeah.
And this documentary had its own challenges. I think for me, let me start with mine. Language barrier killed me at some point.
Yeah.
It really killed me. It was bad. Because you know how you want to ask someone, like how we were able to interact with the leaders? We didn't have that kind of much interaction with these other girls, except for Lillian.
Yeah. I remember when the teacher was like, okay, this one can speak some English, but not so good. I was like, okay.
Then we spoke to the girl. Then the girl said, no, I wanted translator.
Like I can't.
I said, okay, it's not funny because the girl finished P7.
Yeah.
Or at least went through the whole process of primary. Which I would imagine by the time you reach P7, whether you completed or not, you can create some sentences, right? I was like, okay, so, but you said you reached P7. Said yes. Said, but I need a translator. By the time we finished conversations, I was like, there's a few number of schools in the sub-county, especially for primary. But even then, what are they teaching?
You can't speak English and you finished
You
P7.
finished. And it was to all of them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Except Lillian.
Except Lillian, who reached senior 2.
Senior 2. So is it the secondary bit that actually they get that? Actual education.
I don't know. But also what was interesting is that the elders, even their parents actually spoke English.
Thank you, the chairperson.
Forget the chairperson.
The one of that
Yes,
place.
the
chairperson, I
the
remember.
LC.
The dad to one of them.
The dad one.
All of them knew English. Even the ladies that had come with the girls.
With the grown lady that
all of them knew
the way.
English.
But what goes wrong?
Maybe it's with the girls or the students themselves.
I wouldn't blame the pupils or students.
Yeah.
But they said something that also stood out. It's 2024. Some people still don't value education.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what they said. And, they don't see how education is going to help them in the future. It doesn't not make sense for them. So whether you complete school or not, whether you're in school and you don't learn English or not, for them, that's not important. What's important is that once you're 13, 14, you must create a family. And by the way, this is what they also mentioned, that they'll give birth to the first child, the second one, the third. They believe in living in a large community.
Yeah. I remember that. Like the more kids you have, the more respect you gain.
Yes. Quite unique.
It gives the whole thing of a 24 and your grandmom.
Yeah.
What was your challenge, Canary?
Of course, language barrier. You're unable to get, for me, if you can't get the story out of someone, it feels like.
Yeah.
But regardless, we at least were able to speak to some people. What was the other challenge? Um,
I've just recalled the joy you had when you saw that. Oh, Lillian, she can speak English. Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, take a seat. I was dying. And I'm like, God, I wasn't alone in this. So that's the kind of joy you had.
yeah, the other challenge was how I felt after one of the girls told me I would have wished to continue with school, but I can't. I feel I'm grown. And this girl is what? She had conceived at 17. She must have been around 20. So she's telling me I would have loved to go back to school, but I feel old. At 20, you feel old. Says, but also, my parents have asked me to concentrate on family.
Hey.
Now I want to look for a job. You've not completed school. You have a family. Your parents not as supportive as you would have wished. So for me, it felt like, I wish I could, lend a hand, maybe talk to the family, or being able to maybe talk to people out there to see how to support this girl. But also I understand she's also representing hundreds of other girls out there.
Yeah.
Means that you could have supported this girl, maybe go back to school, finish school, but you not have solved the problem that leads to other girls like her not to complete school. So, but I hoped, by telling this story, maybe this is something that could spark conversations and start dealing with a bigger problem as we know it.
Awesome. Mikey?
My number one challenge, it being my first and very first documentary to be on the
That
crew.
was also another challenge.
God, I had to suffer with shots. I'm used to events and what.
Everything is just right there in your eyes.
Yeah, but then I had to look for, what to bring out this documentary we are talking about, not just taking photos. And due to the fact that I had to keep the other side confidential, and I don't include them in my shots with the eyes. So it was also challenging to me because I'm used to taking Lizzo's photo pose.
Stand, smile.
Stand, smile.
Call it a day.
So this time round I had to put it in, but not showing people's faces or not violating their rights. So it was kind of challenging to me, being that it was my first time to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Then
also,
the distance. Yeah, because I slept a lot. I think.
I also might say that it is my first, something being your first and you want to perfect it. And the fact that you're not just representing yourself as Lizzo or Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Now you're representing girls and I'm a girl. So there's a different connection to it on my side. And I would sit in that canvas, keep quiet, and I'd be like...
One of the things around language barrier that I feel I should mention, when I was talking to the first two girls, I wasn't seeing the story.
You mentioned it.
Yeah,
I
I remember
You mentioned
saying
it out of frustration.
I wasn't seeing the story. I knew their story, but you see, I can't tell their story,
You kept on
especially
saying,
when I'm
I
with
need
them.
them to tell the story.
So I'd keep telling them, construct a full sentence, please.
Yeah.
Then
What?
you'd construct 2 words, then
Two.
translator says
5.
15 words. I say, no, but there's no connection here. I felt like I know the story, but I cannot tell their story better than them. I'm only being a bigger voice for them. So, yeah, that's when I found Lydia and she told the story in English. It felt good. Just that I wish if this story sparks conversations, like it already is, Kiryandongo is given attention because it's unique, extremely.
Yeah.
Knowing that you have more than 80 tribes living harmoniously.
By the way,
When
also
they say that,
I was like,
I was
how
like-
do these people even communicate? Because it looked like even in between them, they had language barrier.
Yeah.
Like you can find a Sogi, a Mugishu, you can find a Muganda, a Munyankore, Kwegamba. You be there and you're in.
So I don't know whether you realized, I kept on asking people, what's your name? And tells me some Chinyankore name. I say,
Name,
but
yeah.
so do you speak Nyankore? I say, no, I speak what was the language that is similar? I think. So no, I'm a lure. But how are you a lure and you have this name?
I think that applied when we went to where the peer indicator was.
Yes.
I remember you asking that, and I think he realized. Then he went to English.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of Kiryandongo, I think, that you have all these people to speak different languages, but for some reason they're able to, live together harmoniously. No clashes, no what, even with the locals, because that's Bunyoro. That's sub-region, it's Bunyoro sub-region. So you have the locals there, the natives. Then you have internally displaced people brought to Kiryandongo. For example, you have people who have been victims of landslide, let's say in Mbale. They want to relocate them, bring them to Kiryandongo. Then you have refugees who have been displaced in other countries and they want to be resettled in the country. Then they're brought to Kiryandongo. So you have like a mixture of all these communities and they're able to live together. Of course, that's why you have challenges of low uptake of information.
Coming from a creative standpoint, as a filmmaker, how did you approach this sensitive topic? Well, writing down, scripting it, and bring it to life, that people now are seeing this.
I faced a lot of challenges both in writing the script and also putting together the clips. One, because these are young kids. One, they need to be protected, but the story needs to be told.
Yeah.
Of course, for me, I was struggling within myself. What's the right thing to do? Even for writing, use of language. Would write things and then just delete them and then write again and then just delete them and then write again until I feel like I've perfected. Thank God I've been in the SRHR space, so some of the things that I cannot mention because they would look insensitive, they would look, if I don't understand the topic I'm writing about, it helped. But also, you do not know sometimes that you've had someone through the language you've used until it's out there. Because of the emerging trends within the SRHR space. But once the script was out there, then the clips were easy to be edited. But then you have babies in there. But again, the story needs to be edited, needs to be told. Once you can't tell the story in its entirety, right? Okay, if, God forbid, if these were victims of rape and, that they would be later in life be sidelined because of their situation, and there I would be a little bit more reserved. But this is their story. This is their reality. Said, why not? Had to edit a few clips out and leave in a few clips that I felt were okay.
Interesting. If we were given a chance,
Before that, I want you to expand more on one of the challenging moments, which is when they ask you to speak to the community.
Yeah.
By the way, I'd forgotten about that bit.
And then you're asking me, Sikana, I'm going to introduce you in this space. I said, no, I didn't come here to give speeches. But then it was then also one of the, I think, great things that you did, because the community now felt comfortable with us because you had talked to them.
First of all,
I think Lizzo was like, which language should I speak?
I'm trying to think around and I'm like, hey, this is so bad. And I didn't want to, I don't come out from a point of view of, obviously, I'm not a slay queen. I didn't want to come from a point of view of, okay, I'm feeling high. You know what? I wanted
privilege.
Exactly. I wanted to be like to their point. But then, first of all, it was a church. I was in pants. Like, that is so bad in a Catholic church. And I was like, at some point, I was like, if my mom knows this, she will be so pissed. But I was working. I didn't expect this to take place. But I also felt so doomed because I was like, we have the starlight, we have the moon. Like, for us, we're shadows. Like, it's the one, And it's like, he's like, Lizzo, I didn't come here to give speeches. And he's going the other side. I'm like, why in the world?
At that point, I was praying, I hope you don't invite me, because what am I going to say? I wanted to concentrate on looking at the community.
Yeah.
Because that moment is what defined the starting paragraph for the documentary. For me, that was our first interaction with the community. Yeah. It defined my first paragraph of the script. So I wanted to concentrate on observing, but also making sure that the videographer has the shots that I want, because I will not write about things that I saw in my eyes and I don't have them in the video clips. Yeah. So I was praying, I hope you don't come, I hope you don't. And then you ended.
And I was there, like, contemplating. I was like, this is why I just say, hi, I'm Elizabeth. I'm from Inchahand. I've come here. But my boss is actually there and he's supposed to come and say these things. And it's like, the teacher mentioned it.
Yeah.
The teacher he's your biggest, I think, I don't know, live at 9 or something. He's a big talk. He's always there watching. Because the whole process while we're entering was like, do you work with Canary? I'm like, bro, even me, I'm just as shocked as you are. Like, I'm not watching this guy. I was like, you're sure? Oh my God. Did you watch this conversation? I'm like, no, but I know actually where he works for. Everyone does, right? It's like, do you think I can talk to him? It's like, you're going to talk to him. I had that conversation with him, which made me like feel okay with him. So the whole thing to interact with the community came like to life later. Like, okay, I was okay having this courage, but I was going to call you. I was going to be like, my boss is there, and me. This is where I end. Thank you. But I took up the challenge. I think you do it like it was a challenge, but I didn't expect that. But I guess I'm proud of me now.
We're all proud of you.
Thank you so much.
When you spoke, I was like, she should have been a teacher.
Okay. Honestly speaking, if they called me, I'm just going to laugh.
Or dance.
No, not dancing.
Because they were beating drums at the end.
Teacher for me. Would I be a teacher? Maybe. Schooling, but
In the next life.
I just wanted to know if you had a chance to return back to Kiryandongo, like this team, what would you do different? But you felt like we missed out that.
Speak to more girls. I feel like everyone there had a story. You could tell in their faces. I kept on looking at these clips that Mad shared. This girl is I don't know, 11 or 12 and has a baby on her back, right? And is moving through the field.
Oh, the young girls were.
Yeah.
I took the shots.
Yeah. I felt like I should speak to each and every one of them. Because I felt like everyone, through their eyes, like there's a story that we could have missed. But of course, we can't tell 1,000 stories. But if we had more time, could speak to at least a number of them, would have, I think, a bigger picture.
I think also that, and maybe I would I would wish to ask one of the boys who is a victim too and be like, okay, what do you guys think about this? Because we might be here, yet the boys also have this thing pushing them up, like, you know what, you have to get married at this age.
Because actually, you mentioned something important. One of the leaders said that once a girl is getting married, all the girls that are escorting her to the ceremony are brought to the home. And they spend 3 days. The other side that is bringing the boys also bring boys escorting the boy getting married. And they spend 3 days, sometimes in the same space, sometimes sleeping together, and that exposes them to these risks that we're talking about.
So, hold on. Like how people do Kwanjula Nwat for 1 day. These guys
For them, they do 3 days.
3 days.
But what is key that I figured out, they bring them in the same space. This one bring an entourage. The other one also bring an entourage. Then they mix. So where are they staying? Because it's clearly not hotels or what. They're staying in the same space, sleeping in the same space, sleeping with each other. And after that, there and then, they go for courtship.
Sparks another relationship.
The district leader said it. I think they now go into a courtship. Then they get married. Then they repeat the same thing over and over again.
They continue
Is that like a
creating
culture
relationships.
Yeah, those are the cultural beliefs that I think we had to document and encounter. That I felt like, okay, these guys, despite knowing the risks these kids are exposed to, they're still okay with it.
It's like a go-to thing. Like the elders are like, fine, do it.
Yeah, it's okay.
What would you do differently? Learn some languages?
What I would do differently, I actually realized in this whole conversation, we didn't have a boy child say anything.
We didn't have a what?
A boy child.
Yeah.
They would have, like, I feel like they have a point of view of a story we don't know. Because if they're the ones, okay, sweet talking these guys and all what, what is the whole thing, what is taking place, what is the background thing. You may find there's also pressure, like what you said, from family. Why aren't you not having a kid?
Yeah.
And all. I feel like that was something that we left out after watching the whole documentary at last. Like it was, would have done this too. Because you also might find that also boys don't go beyond primary 7. This is the time where boy children are making so much noise, we're not being heard and all.
Well,
So I feel like that would be a different...
except that they don't get pregnant, whether they have made it out of primary 7 or not.
Thank you so much. Thank you. They don't. And it's actually like...
But the girls don't get themselves pregnant.
And I just want to get clarity also something. I don't know if I recall well, but they don't believe in abortion, right? Totally.
They don't believe in abortion, of course.
And contraceptives.
And contraceptives, yeah.
Now that one for contraceptives.
I
Still
feel like
beating my mind till now.
the thing for contraceptives, it comes back to the point that they have limited healthy centers. So you it came to my mind like, okay, these guys don't get this information, and even if they get the information, where will they get the contraceptives? Like, it's one healthy center, like in, was it how many kilometers even?
It was quite fun.
And you'd be like, even
That's
if
what they
you're
call
you're
them.
doing an outreach there at the health center, there are some people that are far that you won't reach to, so they won't get that information.
Yeah.
How can non-injectables not work? I think I came back and I asked Lynn, like, how can they not work? I'm even waiting for Dr. Ruth because I want to ask how. I don't know how to bring it out, but yeah, it was shocking on my side. Any background story that was not recorded, Canary, that you got? You had a conversation, but you didn't. It's nowhere in the documentary. Yeah, I have mine.
I have mine too.
Let's start with you guys.
I have mine.
Canary.
There's this.
Didn't get a background
There are
story.
these two kids. They're like 10, 11. They're boys.
Yeah.
So I found them in the pitch playing some sort of ball, and I joined them. We started like playing. Then I called one, and I was like, "Che Chiriwo," in Uganda, and he tried to mimic. He was like, "Tewali." Then afterwards, like when we finished, it was a simple thing. Then he went and sat down, but then he was sitting in a posture that was showing that he was in deep sorrow. Like he was. I posted that pic on my Twitter.
I think I
like
see it.
he was in deep sorrow, and I was like, this kid, okay, what's happening? Then I went where he was, and I was like, what's up? And he pointed at some kagal in the pitch. I was like, what are you trying to communicate here? I was like, okay. So at this age, he was, what came into my mind, he was admiring some kagal in a pitch. But he was like,
So sad.
so sad. I was like, okay, what's happening between here? That's why I brought up this thing of maybe boys have their story, because we couldn't communicate. We didn't know each other's language. But according to the gesture, I was like, okay, I think something is happening in between here. Yeah, that's my background story.
For me, it was the LC5 lady. I think I told Canary, and I told you. I told everyone. I was under shock, guys. During COVID period, by the way, things took place in COVID. In the community, the fact that there is disco. 2 15-year-olds,
Yeah,
13, 12,
yeah,
like who
yeah.
does that? And the fact that they were having, there is silent disco. That's why she termed it, but I'm forgetting. But they were having a naked kind of disco
Yeah.
for these young kids. So I'm imagining a 15-year-old me with my bad days, how we grew up, and we are actually having a silent, that whole disco thing naked. That story was alarming.
I think
And it took place.
everyone that we interviewed talked about disco.
Yeah.
What I did not actually find out is how the two connect.
Hey, let me tell you how it connects.
No, it does, and it looks easy to connect the two. But
But?
for me, disco is not unique to. Okay, maybe for the benefit of the viewers, what they meant by disco was, I think, like bars who play music all the time, and they allowing kids Of course, in Kampala, it's quite different.
Yeah, in Kampala, it's so
Kampala
different.
kids today, you're 15, you look 21. COVID kids, eh? So it's hard. But at least there is some sort of regulation, I would say, in urban centers. If you're looking young, it will be very hard for you to enter bar. You'll be restricted in one or another. Sometimes you'll be restricted, you even ask for identification.
I think now the difference in Kampala is that now we have, they're called what? House parties.
Maybe. But so I did not find disco, like they term it, a very unique factor to Kiryandongo because it's everywhere. All these urban centers and trading centers in different districts in rural areas, all of them have that. What for me was the factor there is responsibility from the parents.
Until the kids be leaving and the parents coming. That's the thing. That is what they like. You know what? Like the kids are coming from 3 to 6, and the parents at 6 that are coming to like go take care of your young ones.
Yeah.
Like, you know, this whole thing. I looked at it. I don't know. Now I have a visionary kind of mind. Like, you know how you find your mom?
They meet each other at the
meet each
entrance.
other,
At the
Bye. I'm like, guys, because that's the whole point of it that she talked about, and the fact that this one was taking place, the police intervened. At least that one, I'm so happy with immediate effect. They got the people who are doing this, because you know how they be like interest maybe at, I don't know, it's 50K, like maybe in Kampala for them interest. Leave your clothes here. Who does that? That was my story for me.
You kept silent on this story.
No, I told you.
I remember she told me about it.
I told you. I feel bad. You forgot.
No, everyone that we interviewed actually talked about disco.
Yeah.
For me, it was not clicking because disco. But I think for you, what you're saying is that what was unique is that
They were naked.
went in disco while naked.
Yeah.
And their parents were supporting them.
And because the LC5 lady stated that then kids were getting pregnant big time. You would find that even elder men, they're not 3. Like chapati, there is no business open at that moment. They know where they're supposed to head to.
And this is early afternoon when the sun is up.
When it's hot and you're all in. I was like, guys.
For me, if there's an untold story, would be about the food. So when you guys checked in, I stepped out to go and look for food. And there were different varieties, but that was like a posh place. I mean, food was what, 15K? It was a very posh place, I think, because it's in the urban center. Yeah, it was 15.
It wasn't 45.
No.
We anticipated 45. Maki, can't
Like
you say
it.
that true?
Why? Because it
Something
was
like 45.
because it was a buffet.
You know,
right.
I'm looking at them like, guys, this is that.
But that for me is not the story I'm trying to say. I'm trying to talk about so for different communities, it's maize.
Yeah.
It's maize, which means that you find themselves, of course, posho being their main food, and then the beans. So once the temperatures go up and it's so hot, and the garden's dry, so forget the fact that there will be no food. Even the food that is available, the price will double.
Oh my.
So here's the story. That when it doubles from 2,300 to 5,000, there's a family that cannot afford that at 5,000, and that's a kilogram. And because these kids give births, frequently, it can only have 1 kilogram per day. So you understand the dilemma now.
Yeah.
These are stuck in that, then there's no school, then there's no that, even at home there's no food, and then
The school that's available is far.
the fact that they are able to survive day in, day out is for me incredible. Like, what do they eat? Okay, what do they feed the babies? Where do they even get the breast milk if they are unable to eat?
feeding.
They are not feeding. How does this community survive? It's incredible, and for me, I found that very unique.
Now you see someone sees the money for data that you're using as something that can sustain them and their family.
Yeah.
And it will be like, I don't know, golden life chance for them. Did this whole experience leave you the same?
It didn't.
What did it do to you?
Left me with different feelings, which are mixed. Sad and excited at the same time. Excited because, always excited to get my hands on something new. And it was even more exciting that I went back to Kampala when I have the story in my head. Like, I was seeing the script being written in my head. Like how you type in chat GPT and then start. And like I was seeing the script. I just needed to arrange my thoughts and look at the clips and look at my notes and everything. I was excited to just put all that together. And the comments are really great. But left me sad at the same time to know that, not to sound political, but there's like billions of shillings. Let me say it in the most simplest language, being stolen. And yet this is money that can change a community forever.
True.
Forever. That community, if one of the appeals to government from the district chairperson, the lady, was if we can increase the amount of money that goes into every parish, you have no idea how big you will have changed this community and how it's able to survive. So that's why we have the haves and the have-nots. But so I felt like, okay, like, do you ever imagine when you are stealing this money that this is a livelihood being taken away from someone? Because if they were supported, the gardens had food, then we can have another conversation on how to find market for this food. You don't need to find market for this food because the market is already there anyway. The community is already hungry. How do we make sure that this is turned into a source of income, they're able to sell to communities next to them and trade with each other? And also, long ago there was exchange of goods. If they are big on maize, let them go to a community where they're big on, milk, big on sorghum, and see how to exchange. This would be easier to work out if there was deliberate effort to look at how unique this community is and how to improve it.
That's a big impact,
Yeah.
Maki.
Oh, so it's literally it's the same. I had mixed feelings also, because it was my very first documentary to work on. I was so excited. Even when we were setting off, I was so hyped. I woke up very early.
The child in me.
I woke
Came
up
back.
very early. I think I was here by around 7. I was here. And then when we reached the place and after, I was like, okay, these things are very real.
Yeah, Chadala.
Chadala. I was like, okay, so what's going to happen next? What next after this? We've made the documentary, yes, but what next? I was like, okay, I was just there. I didn't know what to think next because I don't have the authority to do something.
The power.
But I was like, okay, at least I've done my part. Let's see what next. Yeah.
On my side, when I read that concept that night before we set off, and I read that story, I'm still trying to internalize things. The fact that I've been in position to interact with the different teenage mothers in the different slums in Kampala, in Central. I don't want to say about Burundi, but like when we went to Kiryandongo, it was like a different. And then it's just something like self-reflecting. You know how you be there and you be like, guys, I'm even tired of school. I need a break. The assignments are too much. Pressure is too much. Self-reflecting and just being grateful. Like, you know where you be grateful? Okay, yes, I was grateful, but I was not intentional in being grateful. Like, now I was really intentional. Because when Lillian mentioned she would want to continue
go back.
school.
Yeah.
And I'm in a space, I'm a Chini, but I'm seeing people who actually don't want to listen anything concerning education. But there are a zillion Lillians who even have children who would want to take that step. Now, it's one thing ever since I went like back to hostel, because by then people were they hadn't come back, but me I was at hostel throughout the time. So that one picture that one picture that I posted, and I was like, I'm grateful. Just that one picture where I was with Canary. Even the dead friends of mine rose to that, like came back from the dead, by the way, because everyone had a question. What were you doing with Canary? What were you doing with Canary? Oh my God. And I was sharing one thing. I was telling everyone, I've supported and worked on a documentary right now, but guys, we all love bars, we love what, but let's be intentional right now on education. Like, there are actually people who really, 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 really want
Really,
it.
yeah.
And at times I feel like, man, we're joking about these situations and how we use it. So I've been telling people about these stories like before even the documentary was out. And I'm telling them like this is actually like a real reality. Just having this whole thing of, okay, it impacted me. I mean, let me hope it touches you, like complete school at least. Let's not see that. Yeah, it's good. Have fun, obviously. Once, or what young age, what, but let's be able to use and maximize this. That's the biggest impact that it had on me and on the people that I stay with and live with. I've tried at least to share this story because I may not be having so much like of a following like Canary or you, Maki, but I have friends, I have people around me that maybe when I tell this story, but they actually take like they actually done everything.
Yeah.
So for me, that was the impact. For Canary, it's like still national stage. National status, but it's very true because what he has mentioned, that just to add up a little bit, those billions can save a lot.
You have to be deliberate. Yeah.
They could save a lot of young girls, and I feel like this is a conversation that is that we're going to tell these stories, but we actually need the government on our side.
We'll do what we are able to.
And leave the rest to God. Or to the country.
To those in charge. Yeah.
Well said. Any take homes?
Of course, my biggest take home is you guys were a great team, wonderful team, very supportive, and contributed to the success of this documentary. Would not have asked for any other team. You guys were brilliant, were great. That's my biggest take home. Everything that I think we were able to do, it's because of your great efforts.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our experiences have been different when we went to Kiryandongo, but as we have all expressed our sides of the story, and you've seen to each that actually this was an adventure to some of us, and it was a learning point, and it was a point for us to be able to tell impactful stories or narratives and be able to come back and tell the story of Kiryandongo from different points of views. This podcast is here just to show to you that actually the team that was behind this was not doing it but we are here to tell you that these are harsh realities in our beautiful nation, and these are stories that we need to share with the public, the stakeholders, with the different organizations, the CSOs, and the government itself, so that you can come down to the places that we are talking of, be of impact, be of help. As we've all mentioned, we have our downs, our ups and all, but what have you picked from the documentary that you've watched? Is there something that you would want to share? Just go down, comment, reach our hand accounts on X, on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. Let's have these conversations. Let's create the impact that we would want to see in the communities, in our countries. It may not, Lillian's story may not be happening at your homestead, but it may be the next thing to happen to your daughter or to your grandchildren. So we just need to create a safer space with the right information and the right narratives, so that we can be able to create a better generation and a better Uganda. As we're ending this podcast, what is that one word? Only one.
Sex and climate. It's real.
Thank you so much, Canary.
It's a reality. Can't escape it.
Yes.
Chadala.
Chadala, it's real.
Chadala. It's real.
And my last word is one thing. Let's listen. Listen. Through listening, we can create a better nation, a better country, better communities, and be a better place. I remain Lizo, aka Elizabeth. I want to send my thanks to Canary Mugume, first of all, for being part of this team.
Thank you
really
for
thank
having
you. And we appreciate for the time you've given us.
Thank you very much for having me.
A roller coaster. Aren't you tired of us?
Yeah.
I would want to thank Maki. Thank you so much for the beautiful shots. We are in position to communicate as a communications team. Thank you very much for using that frame in the right way.
Thanks.
Thanks to Mahad, who is the person behind the camera, who has been behind the camera from day one. Maybe one day he will be part of the podcast. Maybe. But thank you so much, Mahad, for putting life into each and every step and every shot that you got so that we are in position to tell this story and narrative to the country. Thank you to Reach a Hand Uganda for being the first hand to see to it that SRHR information is spread to not only the urban people but across Uganda, so that we can get this information to the people and to the government so that they can understand the gap in between. And thank you to the different partners that were on board for this documentary that I may not have mentioned, Sauti Plus Media Hub, for being part of this journey from day one to now, and to the different people out there who actually believe in this story and would want to see impact. Let's continue spreading this narrative. Share these links, share these conversations. Go down to the comment sections and let's keep this conversation alive to see to it that Kiryandongo is a better place come the next years. I remain Elizabeth and this is Sauti Plus Media Hub.